I am now up and about. I've done the usual bits and pieces that I do day to day. I'm trying out a new microphone that I don't know how it works because I'm not savvy by any stretch of the imagination. And I haven't decided what to wear, which for a particularly vain individual like myself is quite detrimental. We're gonna go and see what I can find. Don't want to be too flamboyant. I want to wear something that's a little smooth and cool. The temperature seems to have dropped, so something that I can take that could be warm, but also fancy, because it's a burlesque night. This extremely sexy, tight black top thing, which I'm a big fan of. I'm gonna wear this fancy dancy necklace with it, because it's real pretty like. Now, the question is, trousers, underwears. I normally like to start with the underwear, because they've got like the nice sexy pattern as it were, but for some reason I really wanted this like top today. I also think that maybe some like bootcut jeans, but like big bootcut jeans. Okay, bootcut jeans, tight at the top. What do we think? Put that on first and then decide afterwards? Let's put that on first and see what we get. Okay, this is what I've got so far. Nice, sexy, beautiful, tender, glorious, little subdued perhaps. I didn't want to go for the belt. I thought maybe I'd go for the belt, little cheeky little belt, but I decided against going for the belt on account of, well, I like the slick look, and then no matter what I end up doing, I can put a jacket over the top or what have you and put some maybe bold shoes on, and it wouldn't need to take away, like the slick black makes the necklace pop and whatever the jacket is that I'm wearing pop. But now I've got to decide on a jacket, which is where it really becomes difficult because I have a lot of jackets and now it needs to be something that goes with the necklace or clashes beautifully with it. Let's find out. Okay, so I have a selection of many jackets that I'm now going to try on. And you can tell me which one you like the best. Not that I'll be able to hear you because this is a video, but all the same. First up we have the sort of gothic dress coat. It goes very low. Looking fancy dancy, looking all grand and dandy, very goth in its own delightful little way. Then we have this sexy sort of rosy one. Looking fancy, looking beautiful. It's very thingy, but I have worn this quite a bit recently. You understand? Then we have a sort of, well, almost Richard O'Brien-esque one. This could be a possibility. Then we have my most ornate one, but I've worn this again quite a lot recently, so I'm not entirely sure that it's gonna do what I need it to do. Oh, and finally, we have this gold sequin Shenanigans. It's very fancy, but I think maybe it's too fancy. Maybe it's a bit too on the stage, on the nose, as it were. That is the question. A lot of variety, a lot of selection, a lot of possibilities. Or could go something a little more classic, a little bit more chic, debonair, fancy dancy, sexy little leather jacket. The issue that I have is the fact that the jacket decides the shoes. Whichever jacket I go for changes up whatever shoes I can wear with it. Okay, so I decided to go with this jacket, and because I was going with this jacket, I'm going with these shoes. I do have like some pillar box red suede winkle pickers, some white cowboy boots, and some blue crocodile skin style loafers, but none of them work with this sort of metallic-y Shenanigans. So I decided to go for all black, and that way the jacket pops and the necklace pops. And then I'll probably add a whole load of silver jewellery to make it pretty. First it's makeup time. And that's my pretty face all made up. Feeling good, feeling wonderful. Got a little bit of sparkle going on with the old eye makeup. And now it's time to go and see my friend. Well, I'm going to go to my friend's house, get a lift to this little village in the back end of nowhere near Harrogate, and then go to this amazing burlesque show with an amazing lineup. Some of these people I've seen before, and then some of the people I've heard about, and I'm like, the anticipation is building for them. So yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be great. Ah yes, a quaint little village called Knaresborough. Started with cogs. Well, look at that big church in the background. But of course the venue was down a back alley because this kind of village doesn't have people like us around here. A bright neon orange suit? No, they wouldn't have that in the streets. It was the cheeky little Fraser Theatre round the back entrance. Quaint, very old-fashioned, full of people. It was a sellout of a show. And this is where it began.
I swear that Mandazonian has the most incredible arse.
And that was the FEVA Burlesque Festival, which was glorious and spectacular, arranged by a friend of mine. It was part of like an overall cultural arts festival that was going on throughout the entire town of Knaresborough. And I will say that Knaresborough was an interesting place. Lots of well-to-do individuals desperately looking us over. In fact, to be honest with you, there was me and my dear friends who you saw earlier who were very much counting how many people looked at us in a delightfully judgmental way. In fact, one delightful old lady walked through the doorway of a Sainsbury's supermarket and went, "Oh, Jesus Christ!" As you can imagine, we definitely sort of stood out. Not as much as the individual in the neon orange suit, though. They were brave and I loved it. But the overall festival, from what I could see, was one of art and culture and showing different dynamics of artistic endeavour. The only bit that I was really interested in was the burlesque bit, because my friend was organising it and I love burlesque and cabaret, and the variety that they put on was absolutely sensational. I showed you a little bit of what was there. However, there were so many more acts that were involved there. Some standout ones were obviously the compere, the glorious Miss Whiskey Twist, an act that got pulled in at the last minute because one of the acts had to pull out for illness purposes, the glorious William Deep. Thoroughly enjoyed Mrs. No Overalls, who was the cleaner dynamic, because they did some stuff out in the crowd beforehand, very much a walkabout piece and then a stage piece. Loved that. And of course the grand finale, which was Lily Snatchdragon, the small furry creature that was possibly found in a galaxy far, far away. And there was this one bit where Miss Whiskey Twist, the delightful compere, asked us whether we would send our most embarrassing stories to her via Instagram.
Screenshots. Yes, I keep receipts. Okay, so if you are gentle-hearted, vanilla, we all love vanilla. We love it. We're here for it all. You might want to block your ears. Because Knaresborough are dirty. And I love it. You're a big bunch of sluts and I'm moving here immediately. So I can't see, I can see the name. My embarrassing story. There I was, tenderly administering sweet love to my darling. Log fire in the background, candles lit. Romance was in the air. However, a fatal mistake was made. The passion had made us forget that our dear dog was loose. Let me tell you that it was quite a unique experience when you are mid-rutting. That's the worst word I've ever heard. And believe me, I'm from Newcastle, I've heard some words. Rotten! And you get a dog's cold nose up your sphincter.
Oh God, yes.
Rotten.
Yes, friends. That one was mine. I have no shame. There were some other issues in the regards of the Fraser Theatre, that it was the venue that it was all held at. I didn't like the fact that there was a burlesque night going on there. In fact, earlier you saw a very brief snippet of a gentleman stood at the front of the stage looking miserable. I believe he was one of the main people there, and he was guiding people to their seats, which meant that he stood at the front of the stage looking extremely uninviting and imposing, and put off a lot of us from going and saying hi, as it were. In fact, I believe that one of the volunteers actually left halfway through. They were so disgusted at the fact that there was cabaret going on in their theatre that they just walked out. So I don't entirely know what they were expecting, because they must have known that there was burlesque going on there. They've been advertising it for weeks and weeks and weeks. The actual company, the FEVA Festival, must have approached them and said, hey, we want to put a burlesque night on here. This must have been something that they'd already organised, but for some reason they just didn't seem to know about it, and were very disgruntled at the fact that there were amazing individuals taking their clothes off on their stage. There was one delightful bar staff individual who was just giggly the whole way through, and I very much appreciate her, but everyone else was a bit of a rotter who were part of the theatrical staff, which I'm actually really surprised at as well, because the place was packed out. They literally sold every single seat. And given the fact that that theatre has still got technology from when I was in university 20 years ago. We're talking old lights and sound. They still have the masks, the theatrical masks above the stage that I haven't seen in 20 years. The fact that that was the state of the theatre, they should be overjoyed that the theatre had packed out, that they had sold out the entire venue, but apparently they weren't. Never mind, eh? And then after the show, we went out around one of the local towns. Went to one club which was completely empty, and apparently that was surprising because normally that one was completely full. We went to another club where we became meerkats for predatory men, where basically we were dancing, having a good time, and then suddenly we were like,
everyone is alert.
And there was lots of me just moving around people being like, you all right? You okay? You okay? You okay? Okay, good. Definitely had a couple of altercations. Although I have to say, there was a really beautiful moment where a gentleman grabbed me by the arm and he was like, excuse me, can I grab you for a second? And he moved me over to the seating area. And we had a real heart-to-heart because he was very much a blokey bloke, but he was desperately trying to understand what his trans cousin was going through. He was approaching me saying, look, my cousin dresses like you. I don't know how to deal with it. Like, they say that they want to be something different. They're wearing more and more women's clothes. They're married. They've got kids. How's this going to affect us? How's it going to affect our family? And I appreciate that they were a little bit drunk. But the fact that they had the opportunity to reach out and speak to me in a very open-minded way about wanting to be there for their cousin, but not knowing how to be, was like a really touching moment for me. However, there's a possibility that that individual was a member of the Fae, because we left him in that bar, went to the next bar, and by the time we got to the next bar, he was stood at the bar going, do you want a drink? I'll buy you a drink. I'll buy you a drink. Buy you a drink. Very chaotic and peculiar night, but overall one that I definitely thoroughly enjoyed. Anyway, that's enough for me for 1 week. Friends, if you don't know all of my social medias, you should by now. Behold, my Twitch, twitch.tv/ValenVain, where I do most of my content. If you want to come find me Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you're more than welcome to do so. TikTok, which I haven't posted on for a really long time, but there are plans in action. Just, it's the bottom of the priority list. And of course, the glorious Instagram, where you find a lot of my day-to-day bits and pieces, you know. Friends, I know it's been a short one. It's been a chaotic week, and I am still trying to sort out all of the video for the Thirsty Work podcast episode. The audio is still completely buggered, but I wanted to make sure that we got something out here. So I know it's been a short one, friends, but there are more things in the pipeline. I'm doing a lot more now, and I'm trying to document as much as possible because I like to share it with you. I just hope that you also like to watch it. Until next time, you beautiful beings, don't do anything I wouldn't do, because if I wouldn't do it, it'll fucking kill you.